Hello everyone and welcome to Synapse. Today, we are diving into a fascinating and crucial topic in biology, bacterial diseases. We'll explore how these tiny organisms can impact our health, from the basics of what they are, to the complex ways our bodies fight them, and how science helps us control them. Get ready for an exciting journey through 4 levels of understanding, starting with the easy and building up to the hardest concepts. Let's begin. Let's start our journey by understanding the basics of bacterial diseases. It's simpler than you think. Bacterial diseases are simply illnesses caused by bacteria, which are microscopic, single-celled organisms. Remember, not all bacteria are bad, many are actually good for us. But the ones we are focusing on today are pathogenic, meaning they can cause harm. These harmful bacteria make us sick by multiplying rapidly inside our bodies, overwhelming our defenses. They also release powerful chemicals called toxins. These toxins are like tiny poisons that damage our cells and tissues, leading to the symptoms we experience when we are ill. So, it's a combination of their sheer numbers and the chemicals they produce that makes us feel unwell. Now, let's look at some common examples of bacterial diseases you might have heard of. Typhoid, for instance, is caused by Salmonella typhi and spreads through contaminated food and water, giving you a high fever and stomach pain. Then there's tuberculosis, or TB, caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This one spreads through the air when an infected person coughs or sneezes, mainly affecting the lungs. And cholera, caused by Vibrio cholerae, is notorious for spreading through contaminated water, leading to severe diarrhea and dehydration. The good news is, we can prevent many of these by practicing good hygiene, like washing hands, ensuring safe drinking water, proper sanitation, and getting vaccinated. Time to check your understanding. Here are 3 questions to test what you've learned. What are bacterial diseases caused by? How do pathogenic bacteria primarily cause disease? And which bacterial disease is spread through contaminated food and water, causing high fever? Ready to go a little deeper? In this section, we'll explore more about how bacteria spread and the clever ways they cause illness. Pathogenic bacteria are tiny invaders that have developed clever ways to get into our bodies, multiply, and cause damage. Think of them as microscopic strategists. We can classify them not just by their shape, like tiny balls called cocci, rods called bacilli, or spirals called spirilla, but also by how they react to a special stain called Gram stain. This staining tells us about their cell wall structure, which is super important because it affects how they cause disease and which medicines can stop them. Understanding these classifications helps scientists and doctors predict how an infection might behave and choose the most effective treatment. Bacteria are masters of travel, spreading through various routes. Some diseases are airborne, meaning you can inhale tiny droplets containing bacteria when someone coughs or sneezes, like with tuberculosis. Others are waterborne or foodborne, think cholera or typhoid, where contaminated water or food is the culprit. Direct contact, like skin-to-skin touch, can spread certain skin infections. And some are even vector-borne, carried by insects or animals, such as the plague, historically spread by fleas. Each disease has its preferred mode of transmission, which is why understanding these pathways is key to preventing their spread. Bacteria also come equipped with virulence factors. These are like special tools that help them cause disease. Some have pili or fimbriae, which are hair-like structures that help them stick to our cells. Others have a protective capsule, a slimy outer layer that helps them hide from our immune system. Many bacteria also produce toxins, harmful chemicals. Exotoxins are released outside the bacterial cell, like the tetanus toxin, causing powerful, specific effects. Endotoxins, on the other hand, are part of the cell wall of gram-negative bacteria and are released when the bacterial cell breaks apart, leading to more general symptoms like fever. They can also produce enzymes that break down our tissues, allowing them to spread further. All these factors contribute to their ability to make us sick. Let's test your knowledge at the medium level. Here are 5 questions for you. How are bacteria classified beyond shape? What are 3 common modes of bacterial disease transmission? Explain the difference between exotoxins and endotoxins. What are virulence factors? And what is the primary treatment for bacterial infections? Now, let's elevate our understanding even further. We are going to analyze bacterial diseases in more detail, connecting them to broader biological concepts. We can categorize bacterial diseases by the specific organ systems they primarily attack. For example, the respiratory system can be affected by tuberculosis or bacterial pneumonia. The digestive system is vulnerable to diseases like typhoid, cholera, and various forms of food poisoning. The nervous system can be impacted by conditions such as tetanus and some types of meningitis. And then there are skin and soft tissue infections like impetigo or cellulitis. Understanding these categorizations helps us appreciate the diverse ways bacteria interact with our bodies. It also allows medical professionals to narrow down potential diagnosis based on a patient's symptoms and the affected body parts. Let's do a detailed comparison of some key bacterial diseases. Take typhoid and cholera, for instance. Both are transmitted through contaminated food and water, but they're caused by different bacteria, Salmonella typhi for typhoid and Vibrio cholerae for cholera. Their main symptoms also differ. Typhoid gives you a sustained high fever and abdominal pain, while cholera is known for severe watery diarrhea. These differences are crucial for accurate diagnosis and treatment. Similarly, tuberculosis and bacterial pneumonia both affect the lungs, but TB is a chronic disease caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, while pneumonia is an acute infection, often caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. These comparisons highlight the specific characteristics that define each bacterial illness. One of the most pressing global health challenges today is antibiotic resistance. This happens when bacteria evolve and develop the ability to withstand the effects of antibiotics, making infections much harder to treat. It's a serious problem because it leads to longer hospital stays, higher medical costs, and tragically, more deaths. Bacteria can become resistant in several ways. They might modify the targets that antibiotics usually attack, produce enzymes that inactivate the antibiotics, or even pump the antibiotics out of their cells before they can do damage. This resistance is often driven by the overuse and misuse of antibiotics, not just in humans, but also in agriculture. To combat this, public health measures are essential, including widespread immunization programs, improved sanitation, and responsible use of antibiotics through antibiotic stewardship programs. Challenge yourself with these 7 hard-level questions. How can bacterial diseases be categorized based on affected body systems? Compare and contrast typhoid and cholera based on causative agent and primary symptoms. What is antibiotic resistance, and why is it a significant global health threat? List 3 factors contributing to the rise of antibiotic resistance. Describe 2 public health measures crucial for controlling bacterial diseases. Explain 1 mechanism bacteria use to achieve antibiotic resistance. And why is antibiotic stewardship important in combating resistance? Welcome to the hardest level. Here, we'll dive into the cutting-edge aspects of bacterial diseases, exploring complex biological mechanisms and their implications. Beyond basic classification, pathogenic bacteria are categorized by their oxygen tolerance. Some need oxygen, obligate aerobes, some are killed by it, obligate anaerobes, and others can live with or without it, facultative anaerobes. This is crucial for understanding where they thrive in the body. Gram-positive bacteria, like Staphylococcus, have a thick peptidoglycan layer, making them susceptible to certain antibiotics. Gram-negative bacteria, like E. coli, have a thinner peptidoglycan layer protected by an outer membrane containing lipopolysaccharide, or LPS. This LPS is a potent endotoxin, meaning it's released when the bacterial cell breaks apart, triggering a strong immune response. These structural differences are not just academic, they dictate disease pathology and how we choose our antibiotic treatments, highlighting the intricate biology at play. Antibiotics are truly marvels of medical engineering, designed to selectively kill or inhibit bacteria without harming our own cells. They achieve this by targeting specific bacterial processes. For instance, beta-lactam antibiotics, like penicillins, work by interfering with the synthesis of the bacterial cell wall, causing the cell to burst. Since human cells don't have cell walls, these drugs are selectively toxic to bacteria. Other antibiotics, such as macrolides, target the bacteria's ribosomes, specifically the 70S ribosomes, to stop protein production. Our ribosomes are 80S, so these drugs don't affect us. Then there are fluoroquinolones, which mess with bacterial DNA replication. This selective targeting is a sophisticated engineering insight into bacterial vulnerabilities, allowing us to combat infections effectively while minimizing harm to the patient. Understanding these mechanisms is key to developing new drugs and combating resistance. The landscape of bacterial diseases is constantly evolving, with new threats emerging and old ones re-emerging. Take multidrug-resistant tuberculosis, or MDR-TB, and its even more dangerous cousin, XDR-TB. These strains are resistant to multiple powerful drugs, making treatment incredibly difficult and prolonged. Then there's MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, a notorious cause of infections in hospitals and communities, resistant to many common antibiotics. And we can't forget Clostridioides difficile, or C. diff, an opportunistic pathogen that thrives when broad-spectrum antibiotics wipe out the beneficial gut bacteria, leading to severe diarrhea. Even more concerning are carbapenem-resistant Enterobacteriaceae, or CRE, often called nightmare bacteria because they're resistant to nearly all available antibiotics. These emerging threats highlight the urgent need for new antimicrobial strategies and rigorous infection control measures to prevent a return to a pre-antibiotic era. Bacteria often don't live in isolation, they form complex communities called biofilms. Imagine bacteria creating their own protective fortress on surfaces, whether it's a medical implant like a catheter or even within our own tissues, such as in the lungs of cystic fibrosis patients. This self-produced matrix acts as a shield, protecting the bacteria from both our immune system and antibiotics. This engineering insight into bacterial behavior explains why many chronic infections are so difficult to treat. Biofilms make bacteria up to 1,000 times more resistant to antibiotics than free-floating bacteria. This understanding is driving new research into antibiofilm therapies. Furthermore, the human microbiome, the vast community of microbes living in and on us, profoundly influences our health. A healthy, balanced microbiome can prevent harmful bacteria from colonizing, a concept known as colonization resistance. When this balance is disrupted, for example, by antibiotics, it can open the door for pathogens like C. diff. This interconnectedness underscores the delicate balance within our biological systems and offers new avenues for therapeutic intervention, like fecal microbiota transplantation, a fascinating biological engineering approach to restore gut health. Here are the first 5 challenging questions to deepen your understanding. How do gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria differ structurally, and what is the significance of this difference? Explain the mechanism of action for 2 different classes of antibiotics. What are 2 examples of emerging or re-emerging bacterial threats, and why are they concerning? Describe the role of bacterial biofilms in chronic infections. And what is colonization resistance in the context of the human microbiome? And here are the remaining 5 questions for the hardest level. Discuss the engineering insight behind the selective toxicity of antibiotics. Compare and contrast 2 different vaccine development strategies for bacterial pathogens. How does dysbiosis of the human microbiome contribute to bacterial diseases? Explain how the structure of LPS in gram-negative bacteria contributes to disease pathology. And finally, what are the potential benefits and challenges of using fecal microbiota transplantation as a treatment for bacterial infections? That brings us to the end of our deep dive into bacterial diseases. We've covered everything from the basics to advanced concepts, exploring how these tiny organisms impact our lives and how science helps us fight back. If you found this journey insightful and want to explore more such engaging content, remember to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting lessons. Your support helps us create more valuable educational content for you. See you in the next video.